You are Locked On Marlins POSTCAST. Part of Locked On Sports Miami on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Oh, I'll be okay. What is up, Fish fans? Welcome to your Locked On Marlins postcast. It's Sunday on this beautiful summertime day across America, and it's even more beautiful, baby, in the MIA. Why? Because the Marlins beat the Mets for the second time in a row, 4-2 at Lone Depot Park. They're 5-4 against them this season. They've only won the season series once against the Mets in the last 10 years, 2017, for all you stat geeks out there, and they are on their way toward that today. They wrap up the 4-game series tomorrow, and the way that they've played these last couple of days has been very encouraging with all the things that have gone on lately. Thank you for making Locked On Marlins Postcast your first listen every day. We're free, available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. And pumped to have you here today. Jim Grieshaber, call me Grease, at @JimGrease_ on social media. Today's episode is brought to you by Prize Picks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB and use code, all lowercase, LockedOnMLB, LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match, up to $100. That's how it would be in Boston, right? So if you're using Booking.com to go to Boston when your team plays the Red Sox and Marlins go to Boston, that's how you'll talk when you go there. See, it's public service from us here on the show. Big day for the Miami offense. Why is that? All that jazz. Jazz Chisholm Jr. going deep in the fourth inning. 3-run shot off of Christian Scott. The wrong Scott. That's why. Not great Scott. More on him in a minute. Just average Scott. Today, he's a local kid, Christian Scott, from Miami. And you know what, man? Jazz Chisholm Jr. welcomed him home with a 3-run shot. Jake Berger added a homer for an insurance run later on for Miami when they only had a 3-2 lead. But Jazz Chisholm Jr., first base open in the fourth inning, and the Mets did not intentionally walk him. You got Brian De La Cruz on deck, who's been terrible. He's been struggling, hasn't hit anything in God knows how long. I mean, it's been a long time since he's hit anything. And, that's just something that it is what it is. It's been a long time since De La Cruz has done anything. So with De La Cruz in the on-deck circle, Jazz Chisholm comes to the dish in the fourth inning, and they pitch to him with first base open. And what does he do? He promptly deposits one. And Jazz Chisholm Jr., by the way, 13 home runs on the year. 9 of them, have given the Marlins the lead or tied the game. Tied the game or given him the lead. 9 of his 13 homers. He's got 26 multi-hit games, to lead the team. This is a guy who's on the trade radar of a lot of teams. The deadline coming up on the 30th. Jazz Chisholm Jr. is a hot target. But all of a sudden, and Brujan played center today with Myers out, those 5 outfielders, Chisholm, Gordon, DLC, Jesus Sanchez, and Dane Myers, and then you had Brujan played out there in center today. Those 5 guys, Brujan being a 6th, those 5 guys give you great depth in the outfield. Jazz might be the best player you got left out there, arguably with DLC and the potential of Sanchez, right, and Gordon. So if you're going to trade anybody on this team, I would think Chisholm would be a guy the Yankees would want for sure. As an example, the Dodgers could even use some corner outfield depth. Any of those big-time teams could. They always want that embarrassment of riches, right? And by the way, the Marlins are 5-4 against the Mets this season. They haven't won a season series since 2017 against the Mets. They've only done it once in the last 10 years. But Chisholm with first base open, they pitch to him, and he makes them pay. I can't believe the level of disrespect to do that. You set up a force, a double play, all those things, man. And, the Mets, that's just a stupid decision. It's a stupid decision. And DLC has not hit anything. He was 1 for 4 today. He finally got a hit. He's hitting .237. You got a base open. You know what I'm saying? And he's a righty. I just sometimes don't understand, the lack of gray matter that is used at times like that and making choices and decisions. And you know what I mean. It is what it is. But the Marlins with a nice game today with Jazz with a 3-run shot. You had Jake Berger 1-for-3 with that home run in the 7th inning. He struck out 2 more times. He struck out 1,000 times this year. But since they benched him for a day in Cincinnati before the break, got to give him his props, man. He's 9-for-19 with 3 homers. He's got a 6-game hit streak. He plays third. He plays first. Look, if they can get Burger going, we say it day in and day out on the show. If they can get Jake Burger going, the dude hit 34 home runs last year between the White Sox and the Marlins. And you talk about, I mean, Lord, he went from the worst team in baseball to the second worst team in baseball. And it apparently is rubbing off on him and wearing off on him because it's been terrible for him this year with a 231 average. And how many home runs does Jake have now? What, 16? No, not even. He's got 12. He had 34 last year. It's been a bad year. He's had the Achilles injury. It's been tough on him. But today he hit a homer, and he just flashed that power, man. He's got that flex when he wants. Berger's got that power to just jack that ball, man. I love Jake Burger. He's a gamer. He plays third, he plays first, and if he's hitting 30 home runs and driving in 100 runs, man, that's a guy who in the middle of that lineup can be good. He can be your 4 hitter. If you go out and get a great 3 guy in the offseason, here's my solution for the Marlins, and I'm gonna keep saying this day in and day out, and you everydayers know this, right? On the Locked On Podcast Network, every single day, you know this. We talk about this team, both Locked On Marlins and with your postcast. You know this. They do not have a big gun in the middle of the lineup, but they are loaded. They have an embarrassment of riches coming back in the rotation with Alcantara. All these guys, you know, like Weathers and Luzardo. And it just is, it's incredible when you think about the arms that they've had on the injuries this year alone. The injuries, it's been crazy. The Miami Marlins have had so many injuries this year with pitchers, Luzardo, Weathers, Meyer. I mean, it's been absolutely crazy. And even 3 days ago, I mean, it's crazy for the Marlins. And you got Lopez returning with Myers on the IL now. Okay, here we go. Braxton Garrett with the left forearm flexor strain. Wasn't even going to be a rotation guy this year. He was put on the IL June 23rd with the left forearm flexor strain. Jesus Luzardo, the lumbar stress reaction. Where are we at for time here? Got a couple minutes. And he's supposed to be back sometime in August. I felt like he definitely would have been traded before the deadline. Club control, 2 more years before arbitration eligible even. And he's a lefty. He was pitching great. Weathers, left index finger strain, also looking at sometime in August. Those 2 guys were pitching great before they were hurt. Sixto Sanchez with the right shoulder inflammation, also sometime in August. Tommy John surgery for Sandy Alcantara, looking to come back sometime in 2025. He's rehabbing right now, and September 3rd had a forearm flexor strain diagnosis, and obviously began that rehab assignment in September, shut himself down, and that was a big blow last year and this year. You know what I'm saying? A playoff team. Yuri Perez is, Yuri Perez. He's out. Tommy John surgery on April 8th. And so it's just been a miserable year for them on the injury front. You know what I mean? All the way across the board on the pitching staff. So next year you come back with Alcantara, with Myers, with Luzardo, with Weathers, and then maybe you throw a Cabrera or a Munoz. You got a lot of arms in there. And all of a sudden you have a couple of long relievers to go in there with the short relievers, and the bullpen's been phenomenal. So they could be set up to have one of the best pitching staffs in the major leagues next year. You got the best closer in Tanner Scott. I don't care what anybody says, he's the best closer in baseball right now. He has been so good. He has been lights out. The slider, the fastball, electricity, baby. Benjamin Franklin out there on the mound. Tanner Scott, the most 1-2-3 innings of any closer in baseball since he started the season with 17 walks and 17 innings. Tanner Scott has been lights out. He's got the second most 1-2-3 innings in all of Major League Baseball for a reliever, right? He has been absolutely phenomenal. Hitters are batting 128 against him. He's got a 1.27 ERA and a 1.01 whip. He's the best closer in baseball. And today, that bullpen, 4 2/3 innings again, 4 1/3, excuse me. 9 strikeouts. 9 strikeouts, no walks, only 3 hits for Cronin, Puk, Faucher, and Scott. Yesterday, it was Chargois and Brazoban and Nardi. Today, it's Cronin, Puk, and Faucher. Then it's Tanner Scott. Rogers went 4 2/3, 5 hits, 2 runs, 1 earned. But think about this. Cronin, Puk, and Faucher today, yesterday, Nardi, Brazaban. It doesn't matter. They get to Tanner Scott, and it was Chargois yesterday as well. They get to Tanner Scott. They have an outstanding bullpen with Nardi and Cronin and Puk and Chargois and Faucher and Brazaban. And then you throw in Munoz or Cabrera. And then you got Weathers, you got Luzardo, you got Myers, you got Alcantara. That is a hell of a pitching staff lined up for next year. So when I say no trade zone, and I can't remember if I left it on the rundown or not, pen pals I got in there, and no trade zone. Do not trade any of these arms. No starters, no relievers. Do not trade them. Do not trade Tanner Scott. He's a rent-a-player anyway. His contract is up. He is going to get paid. Now, that's assuming that the Marlins keep him anyway. So, obviously, that's a big if. But if you can keep him and keep this entire pitching staff together for next year, and then you add a big-time hitter in the middle of that lineup, if only you would have kept Luis Arraez, you could have really built a fantastic team. But you traded Arraez, panic move. If you'd have kept him and added that one big bat in the number 3 hole, where you got Jazz and you got Arraez and you got a big bat in the 3 hole, and then you got Berger, and then you got Bell, and then you got Sanchez, and then you know what I'm saying? Chisholm, you're working on something big time here. But if you're going to trade anybody, trade an outfielder, trade Jazz Chisholm. He's as good as gone. He's as good as gone. You're watching your Locked On Marlins postcast on your Sunday. Beautiful summertime day in America, across the USA, from sea to shining sea. Jim Grieshaber, call me Grease, at @JimGrease_ on social media. Coming up on the other side, more on the no trade zone. No trade zone. Do you hear me? Especially the pen pals. That bullpen has been lights out. Jazz is all that jazz, and then Berger's joint, baby. It's his place today as the Marlins beat the Mets 4-2. On the other side, more on the trade deadline and what the Marlins should or shouldn't do. Jim Grieshaber, call me Grease, Locked On Marlins postcast, Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. Prize Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active users. That's right, it's the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps on Prize Picks, it's just you and the numbers. Check it out, right? All you do, you pick more, you pick less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. That's all you do. It's that simple. Get in on the daily action with your friends and become part of the Prize Picks community today. You can win up to 100 times your money. That's good ROI, baby, right there on Prize Picks. With as little as 4 correct picks, just 4. Count them, 1, 2, 3, 4. You can turn $10 into 1,000. I love that ratio, right? Get in on the excitement, win it to 100 times your cash while the summer games on Prize Picks turn $10 into 1,000. Watching Team USA rack up the gold medals this summer. Although, look at the Sudan game yesterday. Plus 43, they lost by 1. Shout out to those of you who picked Sudan. Suzanne's my kid mom's name is Sudan. Before I butcher this anymore, Team USA racking up golds in the Olympics. You can make a Prize Picks lineup of players across basketball, soccer, tennis, golf, and more in as little as 60 seconds. It's available in 30 states across the country, including California, Texas, and Georgia. And you can start having fun right now on America's #1 daily fantasy sports app, Prize Picks, with over 5 million users. You can join them now. All you have to do is download the Prize Picks app today. Use the code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code LOCKEDONMLB on Prize Picks for a deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy with Prize Picks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. Passion, drive, patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay guaranteed fit, only available to U.S. customers. All right, guys. Locked On Marlins Postcast. Roll it on with a simple question for you from me, Jim Grieshaber. Call me Grease, your trusted Marlins postgamer. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on TV all day? Have turned on the volume with all that shouting? Way too much, right? What do you have to scream for? Make the switch to Locked On Sports today. Your headaches will thank you. A free 24/7 sports streaming channel it is, programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team, and yours, and yours, and yours, and yours, and yours, every day. Jim Grieshaber, call me Grease, rolling right along on your Sunday. Locked On Marlins Postcast 4-2, the win. Rogers goes over a little over 4 innings today. The bullpen backs him up again. As I said, yesterday it was Nardi. Yesterday it was Brazoban. Yesterday it was Chargois. Today it was Cronin. Today it was Puk. Today, it was Faucher. All roads lead to Tanner Scott. 16 saves, 1.27 ERA. He has been absolute just filth with that fastball and that slider. Pushing that fastball letter high up and in at 100 miles an hour with that movement on it is just, as Eddie Murphy used to say about Bill Cosby, it's just filth, flarn, filth is what it was. I don't know about the facial expressions, but you know what I'm saying? So we're talking no trade zone. We are talking Jazz Chisholm. We're talking Jazz Chisholm. He's coming on. He's been playing much better lately. This dude is a gamer. His hits matter. The things that he does, look, the average around 250. The numbers are okay. 13 homers, you know what I'm saying? But of his 13 homers, 9 have tied the score or given the Marlins the lead. And he leads the team with 26 multi-hit games. So Jazz night in Miami and all that jazz. Look at that, see? All that jazz in Miami. See? All that jazz, right? That didn't go as planned. Smooth as silk, right? But Jazz night in Miami is what it was all about. The big 3-run homer. First base open. He had a 2-hit game again. But his hits matter. That hit gave them the lead. That was a game-winning hit. His hits give them the lead or tie the game. His home runs do all year long. And that's been big. And Jake Berger has been coming on. Look, this dude hit 34 homers a year ago. 34. You're not giving up on the guy, right? How many RBIs is Berger up to now? Let's see. 12 and 38. Yeah, that's miserable with a 231 average. That's just bad. But big one today for the insurance run. Turns out they didn't need it, but you know, you look at Rogers 4 2/3 in this game, but Cronin, Puk, Faucher. I mean, Cronin 1 1/3, 1 hit, 3 strikeouts. Puk 1 inning, 1 hit, 2 strikeouts. Faucher 1 inning, 1 hit, 2 strikeouts. Tanner Scott 1 inning, 2 strikeouts. I mean, you're talking 9 strikeouts, no walks, 3 hits in 4 1/3. And yesterday it was the other guys, even though they lost 1-0. This bullpen is special, and you do not want to break that up. You do not want to break that up. That bullpen is special. And with the rotation that they'll be able to throw out there next year with this bullpen and those arms, Alcantara, Myers, Perez coming off the Tommy John too, those repaired arms, those rested arms, Weathers, Luzardo, and then you got Cabrera and Munoz, all those arms. You're talking about a 5-inning game every time out for these starters. You just got to give us 5, man. 4 to 5 innings every game. You give us 4 to 5 good innings every time out, and you're going to end up with 10 to 15 wins as a starting pitcher on this team with that bullpen. And I am not kidding. And then you got the outfield with Jazz and DLC and Gordon and Sanchez, and I like Dane Myers a lot. If you're going to trade anybody, I think it'll be Jazz Chisholm because the Yankees are going to make him an offer to the Congress first. Terrible Godfather, but you know what I'm saying. That's what they're going to do. They're going to make him an offer to the Congress first. And I think that's what's going to happen with Jazz. And you don't really want to see that. But the no-trade zone that I have up there, like the no-wake zone in the Intercoastal, and you should be out on a boat right now. And if you are, I hope you're listening and watching the show. But the no-trade zone is the pitching staff. The no-trade zone is Tanner Scott. The no trade zone is that embarrassment of riches you have in the bullpen. The no trade zone, if you're serious about competing and contending in the future, you have so many up-and-coming young players and prospects. You have so many arms back there. Give this team a chance to play out the string this year, see what Skip has to work with, look what you got for next year, and maybe you package something together in the offseason to bring back that big hitter you need in the middle of the lineup, because then you could be as good as anybody in the National League other than Philly, Atlanta, and the Dodgers. You're as good as Milwaukee. You won a series against them this year. You would be anyway. You would be. Who are you not as good as? Who are you not as good as if you're bringing back that rotation? Alcantara, Myers, Weathers, Luzardo, Munoz, Cabrera with the bullpen. If you bring in one big hitter, number 3 spot in the lineup, if you go Berger, Bell, Gordon after that, with Chisholm and DLC before that, one big hitter in the 3 spot, a real star. Easier said than done. But if you're not the Orioles, the Yankees, the Guardians, look, the Astros are all the way in first place after the dismal start to their season. Awful start. They were like 24-12, 12-24, whatever they were. But the Phillies, the Braves, you're as good as the Brewers or the Cardinals. Yeah, really, just the Dodgers, the Phillies, and the Braves. But you come back with that pitching staff and that lineup with one hitter added in the middle, you're as good as any team in the National League other than the Dodgers and Phillies and Braves on paper to start the season. And don't tell me you're not, because you absolutely, without question, most certainly are. You're watching your Locked On Marlins postcast. My name is Jim Grieshaber. Call me Grease. 4-2 the win. Big one today. Jazz Chisholm. They don't walk him with first base open. Boom. 3-run homer. The righty left up matchup with the righty on deck. I do not know what the come on out and beat the Mets were thinking, but hey, you'll take it, right? And then Jake Berger with the solo shot. It's been a terrible year for Berger, but he's 9 for his last 19, and the homer was a big insurance run. And the bullpen for the second straight day and for all season long. Lightsout. Lights out. Speaking of which, let's keep the lights on. When we come back on the other side, how can the Marlins go to 6-4 against the Mets this season? Yanni Chirinos, David Peterson. The matchup tomorrow. We'll give you the lines, the odds, and all that jazz, and much more. Maybe even hit the scoreboard as promised for the first time in days. I'm Jim Grieshaber. Call me Grease. It's your Locked On Marlins postcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Everydayers, you know this as much as anyone, and if you're here for the first time, I'm going to break it down for you the way I only know how, and you know what I'm going to say, everydayers, don't you? I love sports. Who doesn't, right? I love baseball, I love basketball, I love football, I love hockey, I love the UFC, I love boxing. I love them all, baby, everything but soccer, but that's another topic for another day. I love sports. I love them so much, I never want them to stop. But as the playoffs are done, the NBA Finals, over. Stanley Cup Finals, over. Shout out Panthers, Stanley Cup champions. But as those sports are done, we get fewer games. No football, and the sports are not sportsing like I want them to, even in an Olympic year. But have no fear, FanDuel is here. FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. Don't you wish you could do that in every facet of life? Well, maybe not every facet of life. But this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone, every day, all summer long. So head over to FanDuel.com just like I do and start making the most out of your summer. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. One more time, want to remind you, as a public service announcement, the PSA, that Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV in the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you, and me for that matter, covering the top sports stories of the day with local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today, now available on the free Fire TV channels app. Today's episode brought to you by Prize Picks, the easiest, most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB and use code all lowercase LockedOnMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Yeah, baby, you got it. Locked On Marlins Postcast moving right along on the Locked On Podcast Network. Jim Grieshaber, call me Grease 4-2, the final. Jazz Chisholm, a 3-run shot. First base open. They don't walk him with a righty-lefty matchup. Jazz made him pay. 13 home runs this year. Nine of those 13, just about three-quarters of them, 75% of them, have given the Marlins the lead or tied the score. That's incredible. Jake Berger, 9 for his last 19. 6-game hitting streak. 3 home runs. 5 home runs this month. Average right around 300 in July. I've ripped him a lot this year, but he's 9 for his last 19 with 3 homers and like 6 RBIs. Good job by Jake Berger. Jazz and Jake, the J&J boys. And then the bullpen again. 4 1/3 scoreless innings, 3 hits, no walks, 9 strikeouts. 9, count them 9 for the Marlins bullpen tonight. And yesterday it was the same. Yesterday it was Nardi, and it was Brazaban, and it was Chargois. And then today it was, who was it today? It was Cronin, and it was Puk, and it was Faucher. Chargois, Faucher, the fancy names too. And then Tanner Scott. All roads lead to Tanner Scott, 16 saves. Opponents hitting 128 against him. 127 ERA, 1.01 on the whip, 2 strikeouts in the 9th inning. He has been lights out, the all-star closer. Please do not trade Tanner Scott. That's the no trade zone that you see up there on the screen. Pen pals, do not trade anybody in that bullpen. Do not trade anybody in the rotation. In a way, it's almost better that Luzardo and Weathers and Alcantara and all these guys are out because you can't trade them, or they could, but you know what I'm saying. So give this pitching staff a chance to go. Let's start the movement now. Bring them back. Bring them back. Remember the Bad News Bears with Bob Watson? Let them play. Let them play. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? That's what I'm talking about. The Marlins with a big win today, and the bullpen has been lights out. So the no-trade zone, 5-4 against the Mets this season. And again, when you're looking at those standings in the National League Eastern Division, obviously you're not going to be coming back anytime soon. And we're going to look at tomorrow's game in just a minute. But real quick, the win for Cronin, 2-2. Christian Scott, the loss, 7 hits, 3 earned runs in 4 innings. Tanner Scott, 16th save of the season. Josh Chisholm, the 3-run shot. Jake Berger, the solo homer. And that be's the stories of the game. That is, be that is, I that is. Gee whiz, you still in my biz. All right, so here we go. We have the game tomorrow. I love you tomorrow. Did you listen to Lou Rawls like I said? It's just a day away. And a day away, the Marlins can take a commanding 6-4 lead in the season series against the come on out and beat the Mets, because they're 5-4 now, and they haven't won a season series against the Mets. You ready? Since 2017. How are they going to get it done? Yanni Chirinos, that's how. 0-1 with a 5.76 ERA. Taking on Peterson. David Peterson, 4-0 with a 3.09. And if you're wondering about David Peterson, he is in 43 2/3 innings pitched. A guy who has allowed 43 hits and 4 home runs. He struck out 32, walked 19. And if you're looking for win probabilities or anything like that, 67.6%, according to analytics, say that the Mets will win the game. They're -165, the Marlins -105. The line on the total is 8.5, the over -115, the under -105. And there you have it. Peterson against Chirinos, and you're working on the pitcher anyway with baseball when you're looking at getting action. On the action, 6:40 p.m. first pitch. It's supposed to be 86 degrees at game time, and just a beautiful, beautiful day. Let's see. The last 5 games for the Marlins, they're 2-3. The Mets are 3-2. And they will wrap up this series tomorrow in Miami. Let's see real quick on the scoreboard before we let you get out of here. Games that matter to you as a Marlins fan. Let's see. We'll give you the full scoreboard. How about that? Rays 6, Yankees 4. At one point, it was 5-0. Tampa Bay. The Rays go a game over 500. The Yankees still in first place in the American League East. Angels and A's still going, top 6, and the A's lead 3-2. Also top 6, Astros trail the Mariners 3-1 in Seattle. Red Sox and Dodgers later today. Battle of heavyweights out in La La Land. These are all finals. Brewers in first place. They are winners today, 8-7 over the Twinkies, who are 10 games over 500. So a nice win for the Brew Crew. The Reds lost to the Nationals, 5-2 on the road. The Phillies and Pirates, 6-0 for the Phillies. A shutout win, their 63rd game of the season. 63-36. Those numbers reverse. The Cardinals trying to keep pace with the Brewers, and the Braves trying to keep pace with the Phillies. Well, the Cardinals today, 6-2 winners over Atlanta. Tigers and the Blue Jays, 5-4 Toronto. And, of course, the Marlins and Mets, 4-2 Marlins. Padres, Guardians, 2-1 San Diego. Royals 4, White Sox 1 in 10 innings. The Cubs inched by the Diamondbacks 2-1. Orioles dropped 1 to the Rangers on the road 3-2. And the Giants squeaked by the Rockies 3-2. There's your Major League Baseball scoreboard. What else do we need to do before we get on out of here? 2-1 series lead for the Marlins. And, of course, after this one, they don't play the Mets until August the 16th in New York City. Did you get caught between the moon and New York City? So you have the Mets finishing up this series tomorrow, and then how about that? You got 3 against the Orioles, and then 3 on the road against Milwaukee. Day off Monday, 2-gamer against Tampa Bay. You've lost 23 out of 26 to that team. Then you go at Atlanta, Cincy and San Diego at home, and then at Philadelphia. Not an easy stretch coming up for the Miami Marlins as we wrap up the show looking at the future. We broke down tomorrow's game, gave you the numbers and the lines on that one, as well as the big one today with Chisholm and Berger going deep. The bullpen, you know what I'm saying? The J&J boys and the bullpen again for Miami. The no-trade zone. Do not trade any pitcher on this team. You don't want to trade anyone. Jazz Chisholm, I wouldn't get too used to him. I feel like he will not be here soon. Look at that beautiful swing on the home run today. That's all there is, Fish fans. There is no more. Locked On Marlins postcast on your Sunday across the USA. Jim Grieshaber, call me Grease. 4-2 Miami, the final. 2-1 series lead. They wrap it up tomorrow, 6:40 with Chirinos on the bump for the Fish. We'll be here right after the game with your Locked On Marlins postcast. Until then, I leave you with gratitude. Thank you again for making your Locked On Marlins postcast a part of your day every day. We're free. We're available wherever you get your podcasts. And that is audibly, right? Stitcher, Podbean, iHeart, Apple Music, you name it. We are there for you. Spotify as well as YouTube on the Locked On Sports Miami channel. Until tomorrow, I want to remind you as always, Jim Grieshaber, call me Grease at Jim Grease on social media to keep your game tight and your mind right, Fish fans, because I am out.